So, I just got done watching the new Hulu series, All's Fair, starring Kim Kardashian, Niecy Nash, Tiana Taylor, Naomi Watts, Glenn Close, and many more. This show has a stacked cast. Now, this brand new series is about a group of female divorce attorneys who leave a male-dominated firm to start their own all-female law practice. And today I'm going to give you my review of episode 1, and I also want to give you a very high-level recap of what we saw happen in the premiere episode. But before I get started, let me introduce myself. My name is Brandy, and I realize that you could be on any channel in the world, but you're right here with me, and I really do appreciate that. So please go ahead and like this video. It really does help the channel out, and I deeply appreciate it. And also go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you do enjoy watching TV show reviews and also movie reviews. Now, I promise you, I was looking forward to this series. I wanted to love this show, but the premiere episode fell flat for me, and I would have to rate it just a 5/10, unfortunately. But I will say this. There have been other series that I've watched where the premiere episode didn't grab me. But I will be watching at least a few more episodes of this series because the cliffhanger at the end of episode 1 was amazing. But let me say this before I move on to the recap. Kim Kardashian's acting was not so bad in the series. It wasn't. I mean, she was just a bit monotone and flat, but it really wasn't so bad, and it did suit her character, Allura, in this show. And Niecy Nash, so far, she is my favorite character on the show. She is just so funny, so smart, and she's very assertive in the show as well, which I like. But the standout character was Sarah Paulson. Her character is so cray-cray, so out of this world. So I really do want to see just a little bit more of her storyline and to find out more of her history and why she's so angry. So episode 1 kicks off 10 years earlier, and we see Allura and Liberty, played by Kim Kardashian and Naomi Watts. They're plotting to start their own female-based law firm. Now, Dina, played by the legendary Glenn Close, she overhears the ladies talking, and she says to them, listen, I already knew that you guys wanted to leave. All that I ask that you do is you leave and you start your own law firm. Don't go to another law firm in this building. And Allura and Liberty tell her, like, that's exactly what we want to do. We want to start our own female-based law firm, just women serving women. Allura and Liberty were dead set on starting their own law firm because, as they said, they wanted to leave the patriarchy, okay? We see that their current law firm was male-dominated. We see the men in the boardrooms laughing like it's a boys' club, just having their own jokes, and they even say something to the effect of, women are to be seen and not heard. And Dina gives them her blessings. In fact, she tells them that they could even take one staff member with them, and they choose Niecy Nash. Now, Niecy Nash, her name is Emerald on this show, and she's an investigator for the law firm. And she's a mom to 8-year-old boys who are triplets. So Allura and Liberty, when they walk into her office, Emerald is on the phone just cussing her sons out because one of them wrote on the couch with a Sharpie. And they come to her like, listen, you know, we're starting our own law firm and we want you to come along with us. And Emerald, rightfully so, is a bit hesitant to take on a new venture. She's like, listen, I got bills to pay. But Liberty and Allura, they promise Emerald that if she jumps ship with them, that she will make partner within a few years, and they'll also make her a multi-millionaire. And Niecy Nash, she accepts their generous offer. But somehow word got around the law firm. Now, her name is Carrington on the show, and she's played by Sarah Paulson. Again, she was the standout performance for me in this episode. She approaches the ladies, and you can tell that she's a bit aggressive. And she's like, why didn't you choose me to start the new law firm with? I have the most billable hours. I take on the most clients. Why wouldn't you choose me? And Allura and Liberty tell her, like, listen, you know, you are extremely hard worker, but you never learn to be human. And plus, you always steal our lunches from the refrigerator. Car is upset, and she storms off. And she's like, well, Dina is going to destroy you anyway. Dina will never let this fly. And then Allura and Liberty tell her that, listen, we already have Dina's blessing, so good luck to you and your misery. Now the camera cuts to Car, and she is effing up Dina's office. She is upset that Dina has given Allura and Liberty her blessings, which I was so confused about. Like, why is she so angry at Dina? I'm telling you, Sarah Paulson in this episode was completely unhinged. She was acting like a toddler, just throwing things around randomly in Dina's office. She tells Dina, like, listen, I'm your protege. I take on the most cases. How dare you give them your blessings? And she tells Dina, like, listen, having me as your enemy is not wise. And now I'm going to go on and start my own law firm as well. And pretty much Dina, she was cool as a fan. She wasn't fighting back, wasn't arguing giving back too much. And she's just like, listen, go ahead, do as you may. Now we see Allura, again, played by the beautiful Kim Kardashian. The fashion is on point as well. And that's definitely another reason to watch this show, just to see the looks, to see their hairstyles, to see the jewelry. I mean, they are definitely stunting. But we see Allura driving in her silver Bentley. She pulls up to her mansion, and we see that she has a full staff at her home, right? So she walks in, she tells the chef, hey, we need dinner in an hour. And we see that she's about to meet with her husband, Chase, for their 5th anniversary. So she's sitting in her exquisite dining room. She's looking beautiful in her white dress. The table is set to a T, and her husband is running late. And when he comes in, he says, oh my God, what's the occasion? What did I miss? And she tells him it's their anniversary. And he was like, oh my God, babe, I'm so sorry. You know, when it's football season, I kind of lose my mind. I totally forgot. So I'm looking at her husband, Chase, like, oh my God, he is an a-hole. But he pulls out a huge diamond ring, and he says I think he said it was Elizabeth Taylor's ring. And he knows that Allura loved that ring and she wanted it. And he says, hey, my only regret is that I didn't give you this ring this morning. So apparently he didn't forget about their anniversary. He does love his wife, or does he? Because the tone damn sure does switch by the end of this episode. So they passionately kiss each other. Kim Kardashian jumps on top of him, but we do not get a full-blown sex scene, which I was totally fine with. I don't want to see Kim Kardashian busting it open too soon. Now we see the ladies at their law firm, and they're celebrating 10 years of success. They're going around the table, and they're talking about their favorite cases over the past 10 years. Then Teyana Taylor, whose name is Milan in this series, and she walks in with like a weird looking edible arrangement that came from Carrington. The ladies just laugh at the unhinged letter that came with the edible arrangement. They just think Carrington is off her rocker. And Allura turns to Milan and she asks, listen, are you still studying for the bar? And Milan says yes. And she says to her, like, listen, we should study this weekend over mimosas and flashcards. And you see that Milan gives a very hesitant look. And I'm like, what was that look about? But we soon find out when Milan walks out of the office and she gets a text message from a guy named Chase. And Chase says in the text, I can still smell your scent on me. So at that point, I wasn't quite sure. I'm like, is that Allura's husband Chase, or is that another Chase? Now we get to see the attorneys work on 2 cases. And in my opinion, this was the most boring part of the episode. I mean, it really dragged out for me. The cases weren't that interesting. We didn't see them in the courtroom at all. And it just seems like easy slam dunks for the team. The first case involved Meryl Streep's daughter, Grace Gummer. And it seems like they easily won that case because they found out a lot of sexual, kinky information about Grace's husband. And they were able to use that against him because he was a famous tech mogul. So they said, hey, you know, we could go public with this information, or you could sign off on this $200 million settlement. And he decided to sign off on the settlement. So it appeared that that was an easy case, although they had to use a lot of negotiation skills and they had to use strong investigative skills too to find out that information. But it appeared to be too easy. And in the next case, the wife was Judith Light from Who's the Boss? I love that lady. But we see Liberty. She flies out to New York because that's where Judith lived at with her husband, but they were married in California. So that's why she contacted their law firm. But she flies out and she helps Judith just on the spot secure her personal property. She has a lot of expensive, exquisite jewelry that Liberty helps her secure and walk away with in that moment, because the woman thought that she was going to walk away with nothing. But again, at this point in episode 1, I don't think we're done with Judith Light just yet. But overall, the cases just felt a bit rushed. But I do understand that they probably just wanted to show us 2 cases really quickly just to show us the strength of Allura, Liberty, and Emerald. And now we get to the juicy part. We see Allura at home and her husband Chase says, hey, I need to talk to you. It's important. And he informs her that he's not happy. He hasn't been happy for some years. He feels small compared to her, although he's a famous football player who has 3 Super Bowl rings. And the way she talks to him in this scene, she appears very motherly. And we find out that she is 10 years his senior. He tells her that he's seeing somebody else and basically it's over. He wants to file for divorce. So she calls her girls Emerald and Liberty over and they're having wine and they're talking about her situation with Chase. And although this scene was juicy, what could have made it better is if Allura really cared about her marriage. To me, as an audience member looking in, I'm like, she doesn't even look like she cares that Chase is leaving. I feel like she cared more that maybe he was leaving her for a younger woman, or maybe she just felt like she failed at the marriage, but I didn't feel like she actually loved her husband. But her friends and colleagues are just telling her that, she made a bad decision in Chase. He wasn't that smart. He didn't have a lot of money, but they didn't judge her because they felt like she did what a lot of men do. She married younger. She married a man that was gorgeous. She married a man that didn't have any money just because she loved him and he looked good. Now the scene cuts and we see Chase heading over to Milan's house, and Milan is like, do you think she knows? And I'm like, oh my God, Milan is having an affair with Alora's husband. But I don't know if I like Teyana Taylor being the side chick in this series. I'm like, damn, we got Teyana being the side girl. But Teyana Taylor, her acting was pretty good in this episode. So that is the cliffhanger that I'm referring to. That does make me want to go on and watch more episodes, because I do want to see what happens when Alora finds out about the affair and that Chase is leaving her for Milan. But overall, again, this episode was kind of mid, but it did have some interesting point plots to it. I'm just mostly disappointed in the cases. The cases in the middle of this episode just felt very rushed, and I want to see more legal drama. I want to see them actually get into the courtroom. I want to see what Kim K actually went to school for. And I did read something interesting online. I read that Ryan Murphy even created this series based off of Kim K's real life journey of becoming an attorney. So I thought that was a very interesting tidbit of information. But nonetheless, again, I'm going to go ahead and watch the rest of the episodes, but hopefully the cases get a little stronger and the writing gets stronger as well. But comment down below, let me know what you thought of this episode. Did you watch all 3 episodes yet? Let me know your thoughts down below. Make sure you turn your notifications on for the next recap /review. Love you all. See you next time. Peace.